Good morning. Welcome to our live talk program. This is Lloyd Group here, your host on Revive Reform Radio, doing our live talk program covering natural health. And this year, Wednesday, Rise and Shine and give God the glory. And this morning, I'm looking at a topic: dress, keep care for your most valuable asset. Welcome again. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, I thank you for your word in this day. I pray, the Lord, you may bless us as we peruse these thoughts, dear Lord, of how to take care of our bodies and our mind. May you be with us, we pray, for Christ's sake. Amen. So thanks for joining me here again as we do our live talk program covering natural health and continue my theme for this week, which is recognizing value and holding on to what is valuable. And again, my topic is to dress, keep, and care for your body, which is your most valuable asset. And as we do this, we find share some thoughts here of concept as why is it that our body is so important for us to take care of. And as you know, the body itself, the mind and the body, so the body is the most complex things that we have in our control, the most complex asset, the most complex thing that we can take care of, and the most valuable thing. And it's the thing that we move and live and have our being in. And so in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 13 through 20, which is our main text for this week, and it states simply that happy is the man that findeth wisdom and the man that getteth understanding. And so we get knowledge and then we get understanding. Then we apply that knowledge and understanding to our life choices, and that is wisdom. And so one of the most wise things that I can do and you can do for yourself is to basically understand your body and how to best take care of the body that you live in, the machine, so to speak, the biological machine that you live in. And as you take care of this, then you'll find that your experience in this life can be greatly improved because of simply your understanding of the machine. So the more you learn about the various different complexities and what to do to make your body, you know, be in the best health, in the best condition, the best fitness, then you have the best results. And so notice here, for the merchandise is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof of gold. So again, if you can make gold, make it. But if you can gain gold, and you can take care of your body, you're doing the best. But number one thing you need to do is understand how the mind work and how the body work, and what best to do to keep it in tip-top condition and make it be like the most well engineered, or the most well it's well engineered, but the most well running machine that can be. Notice here, she is more precious than rubies, and all things that can't be desired are not to be compared unto her. Length of days are in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold on upon her, and happy is every one that retaineth her. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth, and by understanding hath he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down dew. So when we consider the body and we consider a text like this, we can definitely say not just the earth, it is made and it is marvelous what the Lord has done to make all these different principles that keep the earth alive. In spite of all these years of sin and all this degradation that humanity put upon it, that when we follow proper principles, then we get right results. But the principles are very much based on knowledge. You have to understand, observe, and understand from a observational point of view what is going on, and how does the principles work. And when you find that, then you find that you can get the best results. And so when we look at our bodies as the most important asset we have, the most valuable asset we have, then what it is that we start to understand how to take care of it, just like how you do anything when it comes on to finance, as I covered yesterday, or when it comes on to a trade you have. You treat your body the same way. You're just going to be a master of it. The older you get, it should be the better you know to take care of your body. And that's basically what I want to put forward to you here. So notice here in Matthew chapter 12, verse 41 through 44, Matthew 12, Mark 12, sorry, 41 through 44. So notice it says here, and Jesus sat against the treasury, and behold, Jesus sat against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury. And many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in two mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples and said unto them, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow had cast in more than all they which cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. All right. So this text here, I wanted to go to this teaching here because I find this teaching to be very important. It's important. Matthew, Mark wrote it, so it's important, right? So why is this important for our conversation here? This is teaching me personally, and hopefully will convey the same to you of value and to equate value, right? This is a readjustment of value. Notice he says here that he sees, Mark observed that he's observing, he's looking, his disciple is looking, he's in the treasury, and I guess, I don't know if it's offering time, and the offering is going to go, and people are going to be given offering, and there's a poor widow that comes, and she puts in. Now, what she puts in, by my obvious deduction, it is not a lot, right? It's not a lot. But in a sense of proportion, or in a sense of ratios, or in a sense of percentage, what she put in was more. So, in other words, if you take the last statement here, it says, even all are living. But somebody say, but Lloyd, the rich person put in, say the rich person put in 15%. We're going to go high. We know that's a very difficult thing for a rich person to do. But say the rich person put in 15% of their income, and they made $1 million that year, and they put in 15%. So you say, well, that's a lot of money. That's 150,000. And say she put in, of her income, she's probably, say she's making, I don't know, $1,000 for the year, and she put in 1,000 as an example. One would say that you would go for the big hit, right? Because valuation would tell you that the bigger money come from the other person. They put in 150 times what she put in. She put in 1,000, they put in 150,000. But he's looking at it and say, look at this basic structure of that. Look at the basic structure. And when you start looking at it, you start to get an idea of proportional, percentage, ratios. And you start to understand, wait a minute, so who put in more money? Who's the one that put in more money? And you would say, well, the rich person. But who's the one that put in something that is of more substantial value? Who would you value more? Who would be more supportive if you were using money as a ratio or percentage of those who support more, say, a ministry, like an example of a church in this situation, the rabbis? Who put in more? You would say the rich person. Lloyd, this is a silly question. But it is an issue of you're looking at what's value and what is of greater value. Who is more supportive? Because then I would say, from a point of view of execution, you need to pay bills and stuff like that. The rich person is the person that comes with more weight, so to speak. And they, in a regular situation, they'll be viewed as more a serious person to pay attention to. But when it comes on to value, you would say the person that you're really into what you're doing, if you would say you were a minister, you're a preacher, would be the person that gives the proportion highest, the ratio is high. So who would be the more value? If you're just looking at adherence and somebody that is a faithful person and the person that giving more as a proportion and a ratio, you would say the poor person. So Christ here is teaching a very, to me, very simple but powerful lesson, right? He's teaching a lesson that, like say if somebody is rich and they're supporting somebody, you would say, well, that's a throwaway money, right? That's a throwaway money. 15% is a lot of money, $150,000, but that's a throwaway money. You know the story how it goes, like with our tax system. When you get to that level of income, the higher amount of money you make, going above say 100, 200,000, you're going to get higher rates of taxes. So a rich person needs that write off anyhow. They're not really losing money because they're going to lose it to the government. So they can get a write off so they can tell the government, well, I gave some to charity and stuff like that. That's a different discussion. But when you look at proportionality, that's what it is. It is the bigger hit. What is a bigger hit? So if I take this now, I'm just simply using this story here as a lesson for him to teach you. I'm going to read it, the end part of it again. I'm going to show you again because I want you to get this in this life. What is more important? What brings more value? What brings a bigger hit? Because something can seems, like as I said yesterday, if you're eating a $5 meal that's filled with all kind of genetic engineered products, fast grown products, lab grown products, products that's grown all kind of antibiotics and hormones, that food is cheaper because you can produce it in a bigger mass. It's a lot of food coloring, a lot of chemical sweeteners. It's cheap, but it fill you up more. But what does better for the body in a sense of ratios and proportionality and in the sense of percentage? What do you get better? Because somebody said, Lloyd, listen, for $5 I can fill my stomach. For $5 when you come on to organic, slow food, I'm not gonna get much food out of that. Right? So value is very it's a thing that we have to really deal with, because what becomes more valuable is a heap of junk, the big money, so to speak, the enough, the plenty, look at it, I get a mountain, a hill of beans, but it's genetic engineered beans. It's beans that aren't gonna do anything for me. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get killed. I've every now and then, if on social media you see pictures of people, videos of people fishing, and they just in an area they're pulling the fish out of the water, and then you read articles about the fishes have all kind of disease. You want to eat a lot of that junk. So this is the thing that it is very important. And as I say, well, this text here is important for the next 3 days for me. And I'll read it again for you. And he called unto his disciples. So the lady threw 2 mites, which is a makeup of farting, which make a farting. And it says, and he called unto him his disciples and said unto him, verily I say unto you, this poor widow has cast in more. So somebody said, Lord, you see, that's why I have a problem in the Bible, because we see here's the Mark is writing that Jesus is saying the lady cast in more. How can she cast in more? Right? As a proportion, as a percentage of her income. And that's what it is. But the person who say, oh, I give big money, is that person really, again, it's a side note because, I can go off on all kind of tangents. But if you look in a society, who's a more faithful citizen? The big rich people that almost every few years, probably almost every other year, the country have to go to war for them to kill and destroy people. Or is the people who are really faithful to the country and they pay the taxes, they bless the poor, they do all kind of stuff like that. It's proportion. It's how you look at it. So I'm holding here because I want you to get this idea. When you talk about your most valuable asset, somebody say, Lord, my most valuable asset is this or that. But what is your most valuable asset? What is the thing that you should put the most money into? Keep reading here. So he called his disciples unto him and said unto him, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow I cast in more than all they which cast into the treasury. How is that possible? All day. So is he saying that if one rich person came and give, as I say, 15% of their income, and she gave 240, which is not even probably 1% of their income, 140 and 2 pennies, or 2 mites. Is he saying she's giving all that person, or is he saying if 100 rich people came and give and she gave what there's 2 mites, those 2 mites are bet more than all day? Now I'm gonna say this to you. I believe it's a part of that is Jesus is saying that I respect her and I feel that her giving is more than all day. And I've been in a situation. I remember I was at a church. I've been at least two different churches where it just so happened there were two older women. One church is a older lady. Older, when I say older, I mean old, like in 70s, 80s, 80s, I think. And I was at another church, same thing, 80s again. Just so happened the Lord blessed me like that to be able to come upon those two women. And for me, the first church, that one woman was, to me, the value of her was more than the whole church. That's for me. All right. Because I saw that lady as a Christian. And her value, all the junk going on in the church didn't matter. And all these people think, oh, they're so great and they're so whatever. For me, my perception is like, wow, I was impressed. And, you don't find much people like that as you go along in life. And then I came to another church again. And I was like, wow, here I met another person like this. This is amazing. The value of this person to me is still to this day, after all these years, was like immense. And I say, not so much to the casual looker, but to God, this her gift was worth more than all. I believe it's literally all. 100 people, 1,000 people came and threw in their money. And Christ like, oh man, but garbage, right? It's not worth much. He says, listen, this lady 2 mites is worth more. So it changes my perception over the years what the people sees as value. But then if I'm thinking about your body, the body that you're listening to me from, that body that can do so much things, how valuable is your body? And how should you treat your body? This is what I'm here to tell you. That story here with this lady is a story in itself. And I've experienced this. Because what I've learned over the years is that, I can come upon the righteous, and I should value the righteous very much so. I've learned this over the years because I've dealt with people that they're just terrible human beings. And you run into somebody and you say, I need this person in my life. And that I'd learned it at a younger age. So when a person is that valuable to God and I can perceive the value, I must treat this person as if this person is valuable. Because rarely do you come upon somebody that is valuable. Somebody said, well, Lloyd, do you come upon a lot of people? Yeah, there's a lot of people in this life. it's a lot of people. But most people, just basic integrity and honesty and decency is hard to find. It's hard to find. Honesty is one of the most very difficult things to find. People are honest. It's a strange thing. You could live many years and you find people, they're good, they're nice, yeah, good. Yeah, but that's about it. Honesty, integrity, moral worth, very strange. So when we talk about value, it is what somebody might say, oh, this is so great, this is so valuable. Yeah, sure. Yeah, but not so. So for all they did cast in their abundance, but she from of her want they cast in. So the value of that treasure is this lady is supporting. I always feel bad when I see like the leadership of the church waste, especially not my money, but old people's money. And they're not faithful to the Bible and to God and to the poor and to those who are worthy poor. And it just wastes the people. Because the people, especially I've met some older people who I really believe they're faithful. They're supporting not the church per se, what they think the church is based upon the Bible. And the church leaders take the money and just waste it. It always makes me feel bad, feel sad about it because they're doing the right thing, but the leadership not doing the right thing. And and it's the same thing in her situation. She was doing the right thing in her innocence and honesty. But the leaders weren't doing the right thing. They were going to take her money and use it to kill Christ. So the sad reality always to this day, and we see that. So I just wanted to show you that there before I go down to my topic. Because I think one has to understand what true value is. So my topic again is dress, keep, and care for your body, the most valuable asset. So the body you have, the body you live in, is the most valuable asset. And you spend all the time working, doing your thing. But I'm encouraging you here, and everything I'm gonna say going forward is the intent. I'm gonna tell you upfront what I'm doing here. My intention, I want to encourage you that you need to put more money, more time, more effort, more thought, more learning into the body you live in. You need to understand your body more, how it works, and why it does what it does, what you need to do for it. You need to treat your body more than you treat your investments, your career, anything that you have, your house, your apartment, whatever you have. Because that machine that you have is the most important machine that you own. Proverbs chapter 23, 23. Proverbs 23, 23. It says, buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom, instruction, and understanding. So here the Bible tells you that not just in high school, because that's your parents and the government, the society, tell you that information, knowledge is important. Instruction is important as we go to school. But when you become an adult, you have to be a permanent learner. And you have to be willing to put money into your education. You have to be willing to put time. Obviously, you're here with me, and my intention is to teach. And primary thing I teach here is right here. Notice he says here, you need to put money in your pocket, wealth, resources, as the time is money, effort into these things. Truth. Truth is of all, awesome importance, great importance. And you need to make sure that says truth is important to you. There's a lot of people, fun and games and partying and worship and prayer and all this type of stuff. If you're in a religious context and in a secular context, it's important. But truth seems to not be like lies. So he says, buy truth and sell it not, because when you own it, to keep it is very important. Also, wisdom. Wisdom, again, you have to be wise. A lot of things we're doing, I'm just trying to drop some wisdom for you. As I learn it, I perceive it, I meditate upon it, I share it. That's why we're here. So the wisdom I'm telling you right now is that you have to perceive, you have to discern what is the most important thing you have. Is it your house, your car, your career, your reputation, or is it your body? And when I say body, I'm including the mind. And so this is the wisdom I want you to have. When you go through life wise. You understand we live in a world, we live in the valley of the shadow of death. There's Satan and his people who believe in his thing. And the things they eat, the things they take as drugs, the things they do for themselves from day to day, they do not see their body as a machine that needs to be kept, primed, do regular maintenance on, kept in a tip-top condition, because they don't understand what the body is. It's just something for them to scarf down food, and that's it, to stuff their face. But no, we approach life differently. So wisdom is important. You must buy wisdom. Put some money into it. Notice also buy instruction. I say, why buy instruction? Remember, you can even listen to me and understand what I'm saying if you didn't go to school. You might be able to do it, but very limited. The less, remember, the Lord will use a sharper instrument easier than he can use a dull instrument. So you are the same thing. And so certain basic concept, you must buy it. You must buy instruction, because it will make you phenomenal. And one of the biggest instruction you must buy is how to take care of the machine that you're listening to me with. And the other thing that you must buy is understanding. You must not sell it. You must have a mind and learn how to, as I say, understand and grasp concepts. And one of the concepts you must grasp again is this understanding of how your body works. Because if you don't do this, all your investments that you're doing, all the work you're doing, everything you do goes up in smoke. And each day, talk about taking one day at a time. You want to do life that says you're fighting on a daily battle to make sure that the next day and the next day, if you live, is the best. You feel the best, your brain works the best, your body works the best. You put money, time, and effort. You should not be allergic to exercise equipment. You should see exercise equipment as a very valuable part of your taking care of your machine. Notice here Psalms 139, verse 14. Notice the psalmist says here, I will praise thee, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and my soul know it right well. I am fearful and wonderfully made. When you think about just how the saliva work, it is amazing how certain things are this digestion process starts in the mouth. It's amazing just to think how we grow nails. I'm always fascinated with the nail because it is there and it's there until I need to grab something very small, like a small screw. Sometimes you have a screw that's in we call it like a glasses. I don't wear glasses, but I'm just saying, like, if I have to deal with somebody that has a screw and I'm trying to put the glasses back together, and I can use a tweezer, I can use my fingernails, and then I look at my nails and I say, "Wow, who came up with this concept to put this little thing on the edge of our fingers?" And you say it's almost like you can't use your hand without your nails, especially as I say, if you have to take a glasses and that's somebody wear to see, and eyeglasses, that's what they call it, and you have to take the eyeglasses, and you have to put that screw back in there. And I remember when I was a child, I think I used to do this for my mom, and used to find it fascinating, like that little small little invention there as the fingernails. That who knew we were going to have pimples as teenagers and stuff like that, and even adults, and it becomes so important. And as simple as you can say it, you're like, what? Like, you have a sweat from your head, and then you realize that it's just sweating and it's just pouring, and you'll be like, all this is not just there, here, there, and here's there for, for your look. But when you start sweating for your head, or your armpits, or anywhere there's hair, you'll be like, and then the eyebrow, like you look at the eyebrow would channel the water away from your eyes. That it's on and on we go. It is amazing how purposefully each piece, each piece that is you can ignore it, becomes significant when you understand how it works. So the psalmist says, "Listen, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. There's no machine on the planet that is so complicated than my machine, that works with so many points. There's so many things. I always say that there's humidity, there's heat, there is cold. There's different set points, but there's a set point that I don't know if nobody have ever figured it out, but there's something about the cool and the heat that I feel, that I say, I think there's something different in the winter and in the summer, that it might be just in my head, but I've always thought that, I think there's something else to do with, it's not just humidity, and it's not just the heat or the cold. There's another thing I feel sometime in the atmosphere, that I say, I think it's something else that exists, that nobody has ever measured, or is measured, but I've just never come upon what that measurement is. It's like dealing with current. There's current, there's a flow, but there's volts, and there's amps. There's different aspect of it that different people have figured out how to measure it, and how to, and use it. But whatever we're discussing in this life, one thing I can say is the body can sense all of that. Like, go get yourself a shock, and you can feel it. And you say, "Oh, we have electrical impulses," like where they use a defibrillator to try to stop the heart from fluttering, or whatever they call it. We're faithfully and wonderfully made. Electrical impulse, water, all these different things that, the more they find out different things about the body, or about nature, they find stuff in the body and how it works. And down to the cell level, the molecules or whatever, complicated. So you can learn and just keep learning. And that's the other thing about, I'll say lastly about this before I move on. One of the questions that been asked evolutionists is why the brain is made with an infinite capacity. Nobody knows what the true capacity of the brain, no matter how much information you take in, and especially if somebody have photographic memory, they can hold it, and the brain says, "Give me more," And you look at it, you say, well, you've seen data centers, and you could take whatever amount of the current development of chips, microchips, computer chips, computer storage devices. And you could say, okay, a person read 1,000 books, and say how much space it would take to hold that information. You watch 1,000 movie, and I used to have a friend that would be able to tell me a movie from start to finish. You just keep going, and you just they're telling you, and this happened, and I'm like, this is amazing. How can he remember all of that? And then now you go watch the movie, and you be like, he got it right. This is even getting lines in it. And I'm like, how? And you probably watched it a few times, I assume, I hope, because my brain don't work like that. And you say, wait a minute, the amount of memory, and evolutionists have never been able to answer that question. Because why is the brain capable of memorizing or having in its head memories that there's no nobody understand the capacity? You've been learning, aren't you, from you being a child, from you came out your mother's womb, or if it was a C-section, you've been learning, right? And you've been learning, 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 and yet there's no end of learning. And yet you can go and look at what humanity has found out so far, by dissecting, cutting, testing, all kind of stuff, the body, and they're still having thousands of people, yeah, millions of people in labs, in different research, in computer research, trying to figure out how the body works and why the body works like this. But the most important thing we'll say, not just the heart and stuff, but it's the control center, which is the mind, the brain. And the brain and the mind becomes another, that's another, I could do hours on that, the concept of what is the mind. But how the brain works, and how the body works, there's thousands of people, probably, yeah, millions of people in the world just keep studying, 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 and no exhausting. Yet the brain itself, infinite capacity, where there's no explanation. Nobody understand why the brain is able to hold so much information, and it never stops. And the more information you learn, is the more it stacks it, and then it start to, however you call, connection, which is what they call they're trying to do it with artificial intelligence. You learn five different information, and your brain put it together. Have you ever been trying to figure out something, and you go to bed at night, can't figure it out? You wake up in the morning, and you say, oh, that's what it is. But you never thought about it all night. The brain figured it out during the night, which is what they're trying to do with artificial intelligence. Your brain can learn five things, and then in the morning, the brain put it together. And you be like, oh, that's what it is. And you're like, where did that come from? The brain figured it out. It probably was there in your head, but you just couldn't get it. And the brain said, just give me some rest, and I'll give it to you in the morning. And then you say, well, is me doing it or the brain doing it? But anyhow, so I read again. I will praise thee, because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and thy soul know it right well. So when we talk about your most important asset, we're talking about the asset that you need to take care of the most is your body. Notice here in Matthew chapter 1, verse, Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. It says, and God says, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the face of the earth. So you see this and you say, until you go somewhere, it could be a circus, a zoo, whatever it is, an aquarium, whatever. And you go and you say, somebody can have control over that thing? So I say, if humanity was converted, so to speak, and they understand what the dominion is to bless the animals, what would this world be? If you've been noticing in the last few years, since there's been more pushback against just hunting for fun, destroying the earth with all these dangerous chemicals, that there's areas where the wildlife is coming back. Have you been noticing that? And you can tell what this text is really meant. The text didn't mean dominion as how the evangelicals teach it. That means we just dominate. I mean care for. Have dominion for care, not for destroy. But notice here, I guess there's some good benefits. I don't say guess. I think there's some good benefits for all the protests and all the things about plastic bags and all this thing. Because have you been noticing? I've been noticing a lot of the waterways are looking more pristine now in the last few years. More animals. I'm seeing more foxes around my house. I put out the recycle last night, and this morning a bear seemed to get to it, so I had to go there and kind of put it back together. I see what it did. The bears, the bears. I'm saying the bears. I think it's one bear, but it seemed like he or she was popping the top off um uh, uh, the milk. So I have some oat milk. Normally drink oat milk, and then he popped the top off. I guess he was going for milk, but there's no milk there. So it just a lot of about 4 or 5 tops got popped. The bottles got popped, the tops off, and torn into like something was biting it with the teeth. I'm assuming it's a bear, but you see more bears, more foxes. I think somebody told me in my area they saw a wolf, or not a wolf, a coyote. These things were gone because the previous generation decided they were going to hunt them for fun, and they just wiped them out. And then people started saying, listen, we can't be doing this. And then they're coming back, right? Very, very fascinating. Fishes, you can go to rivers now, you can see like the bottom of the water. And you'll be like, man, this thing works. And so forth, that we need more sustainable development. Notice in verse 27 it says, so God created man in his own image. So we were created to reflect the Lord. So the Bible doesn't tell us who God is. Now the Bible says God walked in the cool of the day in the garden. So I say, okay, so God has foot, right? Feet, hands. I'm assuming. It doesn't say, I don't know. It doesn't give you, God normally comes in a veiled way, but it says God walked. And then it says he made man, and I know man walk. So I won't go into that more further. In the image of God created he him, male, female created he them. Two. The two shall become one. All right. So there you have God. So we made fearfully in the image of him who created us. In Genesis 2, verse 15, it says, and the Lord God took the man and put him into a garden. We do best in a garden. Into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. So, as you know, whatever God gave you, you're supposed to dress and keep. So, as my topic is dress, keep, and care for your most valuable asset, we were made fearfully. We were made most complex. We're the most complex thing on the planet, but we're the most complex thing that needs the planet and the stars and the moon. So we've made, and yet we're down here, so far away from the sun, but we need the sun. And yet we're so complex. We need externals. So that tells you just the mere fact of looking at the earth and how the earth is created and situated and how we are as human beings, that all things, we are the center of everything that is made. We need the moon, we need the sun, we need the air, we need the waters, we need everything external, the plants. We dependent upon externals, not just the tree of life. So hence we have to understand the body, like the concept of sun for sanitation, for vitamin D, for the skin to do different things that we know and we don't know. I believe that there's things that the sun does for us that we don't know, because the more they look at the spectrum of the sun, they realize that there's so many aspects to the spectrum of the sun, far infrared, all that type of stuff. Okay. So that tells you how complex we are, that the moon affects us, the sun affects us. Recently, talking about healthier, I realized that they started years ago. I started realizing they're doing something called earthing. Earthing is when you walk outside on the earth, on the grass, barefooted, barefooted, or you call it. And I was like, what? It's a treatment to walk barefoot. Yeah, I said, yeah, it's like to neutralize the body, to earth. I'm saying it wrong, but to earth the body. You have neutral, positive, negative, and neutral, to ground the body. And I was like, that's a therapy? And they said, yeah, that's a therapy. it, the body needs it. And then I'm thinking about it, and I said to myself, oh yeah, I don't spend almost no time touching the earth, unless you go to the beach, or you don't normally walk barefooted. You walk with shoes or sandals, something. You're always disconnected from the earth. And So I need to ground myself. Like I don't. I am not promoting that theory per se, or not. I'm just saying I need. It's they're saying like I need to ground myself like you ground electricity because we have electrical impulses or electrical circuits. We have electrical system running, and I was like that's fascinating. So when you start understanding the complexity of the earth, and then you start understanding the more the complexity of our body, and then now you start to understand, oh, I need to take care of my body. So notice the Lord said to dress it and keep it. But be in a garden, the thing that you must put the most effort into dress and keep is your body. So for me, I sleep with a filter. I have a filter in my bedroom and I sleep with it all the time. Somebody say, why? Well, recently I decided to change for whatever reason. I say I'm going to look to change the filter. I think I had the filter there for definitely 2 years. So I decided to change the filter. And I was surprised how the filter needed to change because it's multiple layer, charcoal, EPA, all that stuff. And I went to change the filter and I was shocked because I was like, man, it was doing the work, right? Filtering all that time, just doing the work. And I always have it on slow, the lowest setting. And it's just there doing its thing. And I see this and I say, oh man, it's worth the money because my lungs will be have to be getting all that in. And I'm trying to diminish that. So it's what you're putting in because it's the machine that you have. You have to treat it the best you can. You cannot afford to put stuff like high fructose corn syrup, red number 40, yellow number 5, green number 10. I don't know if it's green number 10. You can't afford to put genetic engineered products in your body. That's the people who don't understand what they're doing. You just can't afford to put all these hormones, especially if you're a female. I think a female should avoid anything with hormones because female normally is affected. But I see so much advertisement that I'm thinking, oh, what are they trying to tell me? Because I see advertisement for erectile dysfunction, so I say, oh, guys have these problems. So, and I've read books about this that guys have a lot of problems, just the same way. Might not seem so manifest in them. And so anything with hormones, you have to take you can't be taking all that animal hormone that the chemical industry is giving to the animal and put in your body. You have to take care of your body because it's the most valuable thing you have. And if that thing is not functioning in tip-top condition, you're going to be in pain. I'm not going to be in pain. I'm going to be in pain for myself. You're going to be in pain. I'll give a little excerpt from this article. This is in NBC News, Health, and the plant-based meat substitute may be healthier for the heart than real meat. So this article is written by Linda Carroll. It's June 26th, and it came out at 12:01 a.m. midnight. They published it midnight. Plant-based alternative meat, despite being ultra-processed, may be healthier for the heart than meat, a new report suggests. A review of previous studies found that risk factors for heart disease include total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and body weight, improved when various animal-based meats were replaced with substitute made from plants, according to the paper published Wednesday in the Canadian Journal of Cardiology. Quote, plant-based meat is a healthy alternative that is clearly associated with reduced cardiovascular risk, says study's senior author, Dr. Ehud Ur. Notice here the new research, which reviews studies published in 1970, published from 1970 to 2023, right? So it's a wide amount of study. Also found wide nutritional variation in meat substitute, such as the amount of substitute and saturated fat that they contain. One of the clinical trials cited by the researchers found that when participants consumed plant-based alternative, they experienced a 13% reduction in total cholesterol, 9% reduction in LDL cholesterol, 53% reduction in triglycerides, and 11% rise in HDL, which is the high density lipoprotein, high density, I think that's what it is. And then I'll take probably two more. It's and his colleagues focus on two burger brands, one older generation and one newer with a closer approximation to beef flavor. So they're going for the bigger hits that I guess taste more real. Notice here, the older brand adds 6% of its recommended daily allowance of saturated fat compared to 30% in the newer brand of burger, newer company's burger. Similar, the older brand add 0% calories, cholesterol, sorry, compared to 27% of the RDA for the newer brand. All right, and then I'll take this one more part I wanted to take down the bottom. Dr. Walter Willett, a professor of epidemiology and nutrition at the Harvard T.H. Chang School of Public Health, said that while some plant based alternative may be better for the heart than meat, in general, the best option would be to consume whole foods. According to Willett, the healthiest foods are a combination of nuts, seeds, soy foods and other legumes, whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and liquid plant oils such as olive oil. And then the article goes on. You can read it for yourself. So just wanted to show that here. So this here is again, just in case you're looking for it, is the top headline news on. If you just click on NBC News and go to health, you'll see it here. Plant-based meat substitutes may be healthier for the heart. And so you want to put in the healthiest thing. So I read both parts there because plant-based meat substitute, and then they also place in there that, what is it that if you eat these things, which you get a better result. But you take both, you start where you're at. Okay, that's one of the thing they were saying in the article. They're saying in the article that, you have to start, it's easier to start with a substitute, which is obvious. So we read both, and then I just take those two concepts there for you. So you want to put in the best. You want to treat yourself the best. You want to treat your body like it is the best. It is the most valuable things that you have. In Matthew chapter 13, verse 44 through 46. Notice here in my chapter 14, verse 44 through 46. It says, "Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a treasure hid in a field, which when a man had found, he hid it. For joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he had and buy the field." So, what is that treasure? For me, over the years, I've come more and more is my mind and body. And as long as you have life, that's the most valuable thing you have. Obviously. Um, as long as you have life. But as long as you have life, you could think your house, your car, your career, your whatever is of value. And I've learned that the most time, energy, effort I need to put in is in my body. Now, obviously, there's basic needs that we have. And the first need would be to me is food. You need to eat. And then secondarily, it would be clothing or shelter. So when you have good clothing, especially you're in cold areas or warm, extremes, good clothing are very important. So somebody would say, but isn't part of my shelter part of my taking care of my body? I would say, yeah, to a secondary degree. But the first need that we have is food. And food become that much important. Like the sin in the Garden of Eden was over food again. So food is very important. And then there's other consideration, as you know. If you're hungry, you can't deal with that. Like I would say, education is a need. It's up there in the need. But you can live and not be educated. You can learn by observation and through osmosis. But food is very important, and so when we talk about needs and what are the needs that we have, or the hierarchy of needs. You could live, and to the most part, you could probably survive. Yeah, people do it on the side of the street and have no shelter. Clothing probably become more important in that situation. Their clothing is their shelter, but food again become very important. So for me, I look at it and say again, when it comes down to the care of the body, all of these things are important because again, the body can only survive so much temperature high or so much temperature low. So that becomes part of the need. But all of that is always in how you take care of your body, how you treat your body. You want to treat your body as if it is, you know what it does and you know why it does it. And then you want to go ahead and start to do the thing you need to do. So the treasure for me over the years that's been hidden in the field, if you listen to me, you probably figured that out, is health, the health of my body, the health of my mind. Education becomes probably, I don't know, it's up there. I'll spend, because you only eat for so long. How long it take you to eat a meal? Half an hour, right? You would do best probably, half an hour, 3 meals, an hour and a half. You probably do best if you're doing an hour and a half or more. Educating yourself, very important. Education becomes like the key. This is why Christ says, "Man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God." And you say, why is that so important? Because he's saying you have food, but you have to be educated. And so, I go back and forth in my mind because I say we need food, but we need education so we can understand what we eat and why we eat it. How do we treat our body? Why we treat our body a certain way? And this is a very important thing. The treasure it in the field, you could say it's the gospel. It's the knowledge that Christ is dropping. Because without that knowledge, I can't eat the proper food. You show me a person who eating certain foods. You show me a person who's not educated, or they're just dumb, or they're just rebellious. There's no way you put down certain foods down your throat if you learn certain things. So education become important because without education, you'll eat all kind of garbage, and you don't know what you're doing. Or if you're just a rejecter of knowledge, and you just like being dumb, then you just eat certain things. So when you find that treasure, you'll be like, oh, this is important. And so for me, the health of my body, the health of my mind, the health message is so important that it's been a treasure hidden in the field for me. And I want it to be like that for you. That's why I preach the way I preach. Because I'm just trying to educate. I don't do a lot of theatrics with my vocal cords. I just want to teach you. Is infotainment in the more serious sense of the information part. Notice again, he says again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant man seeking goodly pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. So when you get something that changes your health, changes your mind, changes your physical body, you see that you say, man, this is a goodly price. See, because if I get a pearl don't do nothing for me. I mean, I can make money with it, but what do I do with that money? But when I get a pearl, the true pearl here of the gospel, it did something for me. When I started understanding that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, that changed my way of seeing this life. When you get the truth and you start to see what they did, like the Rockefeller did with the drug industry, it changed my life. When I started understanding that there's people out there colluding with each other to destroy humanity to make money, it changed your life. It's a truth that you can't sell that. When you understand about genetic engineered and these are evolutionists and they believe in that says this life is they're in charge of it and they're gonna do better than God for money, in other words, change your life. We understand about oppression and about who is in charge and who enslaved who and who is doing all this wickedness today and nothing changed. Changes your life. You're like, I don't care what they tell me. I figure out what's going on. I'm not gonna sell that. So this is what it is when you have a pearl, and the pearl is of a great price. You treat it good, and so when you can go for years and not getting sick, and you can feel healthy in your body and healthy in your mind, you don't give that up. When you have peace in your home, peace in your marriage, peace in your head, peace in your church, you don't give it up. I would not go back to a regular church just for that alone. I can't deal with that stuff. That stuff is for silly people. I couldn't do that. To me they can have the true church. it's I can't do that. Truth means something to me. I can't be somewhere where you can't talk truth. You can't worship with true people. You can't be righteous because you're gonna be attacked. Like, nah. I can't do that. You see, when you find a pearl of great price, you'll be like, I ain't gonna trade that for nothing. And somebody they can talk all when they want to talk. It's just noise to me. It's just foolish people that are the ignorant and dark, and light and darkness. They have nothing to do with each other. House of Baal and house of of righteousness. So you don't trade that. These people like, oh, the hell, like, listen, you work the effort for me because I'm living my body, and for me, like, it's you don't understand. It's for me. I put the money into it because I'm experiencing my body. Somebody else, they treat their body like garbage. I can't do that because I have to live in it. I can't eat the industrial processed food because when I eat it, it makes me feel terrible. So what am I going to eat that for? Notice in Isaiah chapter 5, verse 1 and 2, it says, oh, everyone that thirsteth, come to the waters, and he that hath no money, come, buy and eat. And ye, ye come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. This is free. This ain't nothing in life is free, they say, but this is free. When you get some knowledge and wisdom and understand, you can't pay for that. Can't pay. I buy a book and the book drops some wisdom. I understand about the body works and how health works. And I say I pay $14 for that. That's the best $14 I ever spent. $20. That's the best $20 I ever spent. You understand what I'm saying? You buy a book. You go on Amazon and you buy a book that's gonna tell you about some health principles and whatever is going on in the health world. And you say, man, I paid $20 for that. That's the best $20 you ever spent. You understand? You have to buy instruction. Wherefore do you spend money on that which is not bread? And we covered that before, so I'll keep going. And your labor for that which satisfy not. We covered that before. Hearken diligently unto me and eat that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. Right? You want to get the richest thing. Yesterday I was about to make some cream, cream, whatever cream, some cream with cashew. Oh, sweet cream. I don't know what you call that. So anyhow, I'm gonna make some cream. I was gonna have some pancakes, and then I'm gonna make some cream. And before I make the cream, I took the raw cashew and I put one in my mouth and eat it. And then I put a second one in my mouth and eat it. And I said, "This is amazing. This is so impressive." And yeah, I know roast cashew tastes good, but the creaminess of cashew, it outdoes anything you can eat. There's nothing like cashew. There's nothing like it. No nut, there's peanut has its taste, everything has a taste. Cashew is milky and creamy. This is amazing. And I blend it up and stuff like that. And it's sweet. Cashew is sweet and creamy. There's nothing like cashew. There's no just no probably there's a nut out there like cashew. I don't know it. But I was so blown away and impressed that I was there, and I thank the Lord. Cashews, they're not like cashews. Everything has a flavor, but cashew itself, the flavor is cashew. I don't know how to describe it. And you tell me, somebody said, well, that's expensive. Well, as I say, how much money you put in your car for gas? It's what more is more important, your car or your body? You can walk if you have to. But you better lose your car and you need a job and all that. But you better take care of your body. That's basically what I'm saying to you. If you don't take care of your body, you'll suffer for it. Notice it says Haggai chapter 1, verse 5 and 6. It says, now therefore, thus says the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe, but there is not none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into bags withhold. Luke chapter 12, verse 6 and 7 and 24 says, are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 farthings, and not one of them are forgotten before God? But even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are of more value than many sparrows. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which neither have storehouse nor barns, and God feedeth them. How much more are you better than the fowls? How much more are you better than the fowls? How much worth are you and I? That Christ died for you and I. And he died for us because he sees value in us. He created us with value. He created us to be of immense value. We should treat ourselves spiritually, morally, socially, health-wise, physically, in other words. then we have more value than sparrows. We should look after ourselves more. We should treat our bodies more. I said, there's something good about us. Christ died for us. We shouldn't treat ourselves like garbage. We shouldn't eat industrial garbage. We shouldn't, partake of stuff that's going to destroy our health. We should treat our body as good, as of value. You take care of yourself. You put your most money you can in your body. Exercise. Drink the best water you can. Don't spare no cause. Don't throw away money, but don't spare no cause from taking. If there's an equipment, buy the equipment. Exercise on it. Take care of yourself. And that's all I can say to you. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, I thank you, dear Lord, for your word in this day. I pray, dear Lord, that we may truly recognize and accept the fact that you've loved us and you have made us in a fearful and wonderful way, and that we should treat ourselves that way. May you bless us towards this, and we pray for Christ's sake. Amen. Well, thanks for being with me here on Revive Reform Radio. Looking forward to talking to you again live tomorrow. We should talk about current events. Until then, I pray that you may continue to walk with the King.